There was, however, a danger in this quarter at which it is necessary to glance. Beyond the line of Egypt's immediate neighbours, beyond the Amu, in the Shasu, Syria and Arabia, further to the east and the northeast in the great Mesopotamian plain and the highland by which it is overlooked, were to be seen hazily and dimly through the intervening space the forms of giant empires already springing into being when monarchy in Egypt was still young, from whose rivalry the foresight of the wise may have discerned that peril would ultimately ensue, though the day of contact and self-trial might be far distant. A civilized state rose in the alluvial plain upon the lower Tigris and Euphrates, not very long after the birth of civilization in Egypt. So this state became civilized. As time went on, a second great monarchy and a third were formed in the countries above the alluvium. These empires were like Egypt, aggressive, aiming at a wide, if not a universal domain, global dominion. Collision between them and Egypt was inevitable, and the only question was when it would occur. Its occurrence was the great danger with which Egypt was threatened from the first. When the collision came, it would be seen whether Asia or Africa was the stronger, whether Egyptian discipline and skill and long experience were a match for the spirit that dashed the impetuous valour of the Asiatics. Until such time, the great African kingdom was, comparatively speaking, secure and might calmly address itself to the maintenance and development of its arts, its industries, and its material prosperity generally. And the next chapter, chapter 4, is about their language and writing. Speaking generally, the Egyptian language may be described as an agglutinate, monosyllabic form of speech, presenting analogies on the one hand with Turanian, on the other with Semitic tongues. The grammar is predominantly Semitic. The pronouns, prepositions and other particles are traceable for the most part to Semitic roots. The Semitic system of pronominal suffixes is used, at any rate partially. On the other hand, the vocabulary is Semitic in comparatively few instances, its main analogies being with the Akkadian, Mongolian and other Turanian tongues. As is generally the case with Turanian languages, the bulk of the roots are peculiar, standing separate and unconnected with any other form of speech. Well, we actually have a book here, the Timetables of History. It says that they probably did trade with the Aramaeans, Phoenicians, etc., and their script changed. Have a look at that, see if we can find it. It went from right to left, or left to right, because they're looking for a better way of writing. Well, they had this hieroglyphic type style, but they wanted a new language or something along those lines. Okay, we're going to have a look here. We're going to look through this book, Timetables of History. What page is this? Okay, let me find it here somewhere. And here's on page 2, Egypt ruled by the Hyksos, shepherd kings, minus 2000 to minus 1700 BCE, kings of foreign kings, kings of foreign lands. Okay, we're trying to find where it states within this book that the Egyptian language was improved. Again, it goes on in page 6 about liberation from the Hyksos. Egyptians use alphabet of 24 signs. That's under B, literature, theatre, page 4 of Timetables of History by Bernard Green. It's in here somewhere. It's a matter of trying to find it. We've highlighted it, so it's got to be in here somewhere. Nope, haven't found it yet. Wigs are used by aristocratic Egyptian and Assyrians. G. Daily Life, page 7. So we know it's highlighted here somewhere, but we just can't seem to locate it. And then suddenly we'll locate it. Right. Here we go. Page 8 of Timetables of History. B. Literature, Theatre. Egyptian hieroglyphs are adapted to Demotic script. Anything else here? Right. In Palestine, the Aramaic language begins to replace Old Hebrew. It's page 10, B, Literature, Theatre, and we can't seem to find that note on the Egyptian language. Because we only highlighted details so far, certain details so far. A portion of our book just fell out, so we'll have a look at that again. Sumerian wedge-shaped cuneiform writing, the earliest known. It's under B, Literature, Theatre, page 2. Can't seem to find it here. Here we go. The first libraries in Egypt. Under B, Literature, Theatre, page 2, Timetables of History by Bernard Green. The first libraries in Egypt. Script changes from Sumerian style, horizontal left to right, to Semitic style, vertical right to left. So why did they have a script which changed from Sumerian style? Were they originally of Sumeria? They come out of Sumeria. And again, that's what it says. The first libraries in Egypt. Script changes from Sumerian style, horizontal left to right, to Semitic style, vertical right to left. Interesting. Yes, that's from the Timetables of History, the new third revised edition that we have by Bernard Green, based upon Werner Stein's Culture File Plan, because there's about 3 of them that try to translate it from the old German into English, and they failed. They passed on. They died before they could do it, and then someone else, maybe Werner Stein, was the one that finally did it. The modern representative of the ancient Egyptian is the Coptic, or the Ethiopian, which, though corrupted by an Arabic infusion, is its legitimate descendant, and which continued to be spoken in the lower part of the Nile Valley until the 7th century. At present a dead language, it is known to us chiefly from the translation into it of the Old and New Testament, which are still in use in Egypt, being read in the Coptic or Ethiopian churches, though not understood of the people. Not understood by the people or of the people. It is mainly through the Coptic that the ancient Egyptian language has received its interpretation. But that's probably what they're assuming, right? They've led everybody to believe. Egyptian writing is of 3 distinct kinds, which are known respectively by the names of hieroglyphic, hieratic, and Demotic or and Chorial. So as we stated, as we read out to you, it went from a Semitic, went from a Sumerian style script to a Sumerian script to a Semitic type. So there's probably a difference of opinion here. When was this made? This timetables of history. Okay, it's produced in 1946. Culture Fairplay in the Cultural Timetable. Culture Timetables, a spectacular success in Germany ever since its creator, Werner Stein, produced it in 1946. In the intervening years between then and now, and it's been updated several times and in its various editions has sold in the millions of copies. And further down we've highlighted history about this guy who in the late 1960s emerged, who was not only eager to tackle the task but ideally equipped to accomplish it. Bernard Grun, born in the Czech part of the old Austro-Hungarian monarchy and educated in law and philosophy at the University of Prague in Vienna, had by then been settled in London for decades, so he had a vast education there. An eminent musicologist, he was almost as well known as a historian with an encyclopedic talent and turn of mind. Completely bilingual in German and English, he could translate, delete, revise and add fresh material, so that a new volume would emerge that would be a pertinent and useful one for the English language reading public. Additionally, to make sure that sufficient emphasis was given to American topics, the manuscript was then turned over to an American scholar, Wallace Brockway, whose authority and experience both in history and in compiling encyclopedic works were very similar to Mr. Grun's. Sadly, after several years of work on the project, both men died before the first edition of this book could be printed and published, and this was a source of deep regret to all. It's got here all of us. We are grateful to a number of people, etc., etc., and that was Peter Schwed, Schwed, Squid. Interesting. So yeah, they were plagued by the loss of these writers, etc., until this last guy completed it all. Okay, so this Henry Rawlinson guy, when did he publish this? Okay, let's have a look. When did he write this and publish it? Oh, 1812 to 1902. So yeah, you could probably take his at that time to be correct, but then this other guy, Bernard Grun, being a more updated source of information, may have produced better information, more accurate information than this Rawlinson guy. Well, at the end of the day, it's up to you, the viewer, the reader, to decide which one was more accurate. Okay. There is a vast time frame between the two books. The History of Ancient Egypt by Rawlinson and the Timetables of History by Bernard Grun. Okay, here it is down here. The hieroglyphic is that of almost all monuments, and is also found occasionally in manuscripts. The hieratic and demotic occur with extreme rarity upon monuments, but are employed far more commonly than the hieroglyphic in the papyrus rolls of books of the Egyptians. Both of them are cursive forms of the hieroglyphic writing, invented to save time and suited for rapid writing with the pen, but in no way suited for carving upon stone and manifestly not intended for it. They have been called abbreviated forms, but this is scarcely correct, for they occupy more space than the corresponding hieroglyphics. but they could be written in probably 1/10 of the time. There is not much difference between the hieratic and the demotic. The former was the earlier of the two, having been employed as far back as the time of the 18th and 19th dynasties, or perhaps even earlier. It preserved the hieroglyphic forms to a certain extent. These are nearly lost in the demotic, which appears to have been introduced about the 7th century BC, and which rapidly superseded the hieratic, being simpler and consequently easier to write. Both the hieratic and the demotic were written from right to left. Let's have a look at that information again in the timetables of history, because we're sure it says something completely different. Let me try and find it again. Egyptian hieroglyphics are adapted to Demotic script. It's page 8b, Literature and Theatre. Okay. Maybe it's in a portion where it fell out again of the book. It's quite an old book. Sumerian writing done on clay tablets shows about 2,000 pictographic signs. Sumerian wedge-shaped cuneiform writing the earliest known. The first libraries in Egypt. Script changes from Sumerian style horizontal left to right to Semitic style vertical right to left. Okay, basically the same information, just different name. Okay, it's talking about the hieroglyphics, right? Yeah, hieroglyphic script changes from Sumerian style, horizontal left to right, to Semitic style, vertical right to left. Basically the same information there. Lots of illustrations about the pyramids, etc. in the language. So in sum, the Kemetic followers on Sarneta TV may have steered everybody wrong by saying that the Egyptians were originally black Africans or Negroes, when Rawlinson details that they actually weren't. So these Kemites or people of that persuasion have maybe been putting people wrong with their supposed established facts, their information. Again, it is here by Rawlinson. He's made that statement, not us, in this book, 19 or 1890 or something like that, published or whatever, at that time. Again, he makes a statement here: it's generally allowed by modern ethnologists, that's in his era, his days, that the ancient Egyptians, although they located in Africa, were not an African people, and so forth. more Caucasian, and so forth. We'll leave you with that. We hope that this has woken you up to the truth, if indeed these Sarneta TV Kemetic claimants are actually pulling the wool over your eyes. They're actually in error. We understand because they've lost their African heritage and they're looking for their identity. So hey, maybe it was us, maybe they were Negroes. Well, they believe that Africans were the Egyptians were these Africans, and they're descendants of these African slaves brought to America, etc., and so forth. If you found this video interesting, very, very interesting, then give us a like, subscribe to our channel, add your comments below, and we'll get back to you on those as soon as possible. And go share this particular video, or this video, with all your family and friends and others